Freedom to vote bill. It's coming up. So what is the freedom to vote bill? Well, the freedom to vote bill turns out is the Senate reincarnation of the People's Act. It's basically HR 1 transferred to the Senate. And it contains a lot of good things. Let's go through what it does contain. It's gotten some things modified from the original. They scaled it down a little bit, but I think there's some important features of it. The first one is make election day a holiday. So you would get a holiday to go and vote. Expand voting access through automatic voter registration. That is something that Bernie Sanders has proposed previously and advocated. And it means that everybody, when they're born or when they become citizen, automatically get voter registration. So they don't have to jump through hoops in order to get that, which makes a lot of sense. Make dark money transparent. Basically through some laws that require clarity on this and transparency.
I mean, dark money in campaigns, or what do you mean?
In campaigns, yeah.
In campaigns, okay.
Correct. They also have a provision to require voting machines to be made in the U.S., and that is to kind of squelch that argument that conservatives may have to kind of like cast doubt at elections just because something is manufactured by a company that has international roots. And the gerrymandering, extremely important, and that is basically making the zoning based on a neutral criteria, so that it can't be engineered the way Republicans have been engineering, and also some of it Democrats, but the Republicans just seem to be better at it, so that would end that. There's a 15-day of early voting requirement. So basically you can vote 15 days before the elections nationwide, regardless of the state. Block state anti-voter laws, and that is extremely important because the current laws that have been passed in various states allow the states to generally disregard the popular vote if they claim that it's questionable, and then appoint a representative or a delegate on their own. So basically, they could nullify the entire. If the vote doesn't go their way, they could nullify the popular vote in their state and send a delegate that would vote for the other candidate. What else is in the bill? National ID standard with reasonable alternatives like utility bills or bank statements. So basically, that is kind of like calling the Republicans' bluff. So basically, you'd have to have ID, but you'd be it would be flexible as to what was allowable, so that you can't use that as a criteria to try as a means to try and whittle down the electorate, or make it more difficult, create hurdles and challenges in the way of providing the ID, which has been the practice in recent years. There's also a national standard of vote by mail, which we've seen Republicans try to kind of demolish vote by mail, and this would reinstate it as a viable means of election that's protected federally. Former prison inmates would have their voting rights restored. And that's again something that Bernie Sanders has advocated. There'd be a same-day registration for voting, which is important if you find yourself unregistered for whatever reason. Somebody purged your name off the ballots of the registry, and you want to reinstate it. You could do that the same day. And prevention of unlawful voter purges, and that's another thing that if there's some state doesn't like the vote results, they, at the moment, as unbelievable as it is, they can decide to purge the voters of certain areas, certain counties and districts, and that would protect those. There's also other aspects of it that pertain to campaign finance, and the most important one for us is the small donor campaign finance matching for Congress. It's already implemented for president and in state elections, and it would be a 6-to-1 matching public fund. The fund would not come from taxes. It would be from fees that are levied on corporations, fees like penalties and so forth in case of some malpractice or whatever, so that wouldn't come at the cost of the taxpayer. But nevertheless, people with donations of up to $200 would be able to would be matched 6-to-1 by this public fund. Extremely important for grassroots representatives, and this is really the key to changing the political system, because as long as you have advantage for people who are running with a corporate backing, that have an advantage in that manner, you're going to have a problem. The political system will continue to belong to the corporations and rich people, and this is extremely important. I'm happy to see that they kept it from the HR1. To me, that perhaps was the most significant one. But let's go back a little bit to the aspect of what we spoke about earlier with regards to Trump getting back in power and winning the next elections. Personally, I'm more afraid of DeSantis and the draconian stuff that he's pushed so far, including the recent education requirement that everybody put the topics be covered from both sides. So even their representative in the education board said that if you're covering the Holocaust, you should provide the point of view of the opposition to that, which is absurd.
Yeah. Well, I brought that thing about with Stephanie Grisham introducing that Trump may run again, and she's all worried about it. And, all that may be true, but, part of the whole thing is I'm not worried so much about Trump because he's getting older. But see, Trump is, going with the flow, but he's not really making the flow. And if not Trump, it's going to be somebody else. It's going to be a DeSantis. It's
definitely.
And the undercurrent that there is actually an organized or quasi-organized thing under the surface that's feeding the Trump, feeding this. This is very. I'm not liking it. It's bad news.
Exactly. That's my point. That I even if it's not Trump, I'm very concerned of the fact that there are tools now that allow the Republican Party to kind of nullify results and just push their own unelected representative, which is completely anti-democratic. And at this point, I really can't see anybody on the Republican Party, any sane person in the Republican Party gaining the leadership of the party. It's either going to be Trump or it's going to be DeSantis, in my opinion. And that's very disturbing, because there's no alternative to a democratic president at the moment, which is not exciting necessarily, but that is the situation. Unless we want to lose democracy.
But no strong leaders.
Well, strong leader is another thing. That's strong is not necessarily the word that I would put in there, but yeah, it's very alarming that we're at that stage, at that position. So
I want to read what Vegematic wrote here. He says about sure voting thing. He says, all good, but it will never get passed.
This is exactly what was I thinking. I think who is going to bring in this bill, and who is going to vote present for it?
Right. Well, that's the problem. We have two Democrats that are completely sabotaging every single thing that the Democratic Party is trying to do, and we know who we spoke with. One of them is flipping the birds.
You forgot Joe Manchin, I guess.
Joe Manchin and cinema. That's what I'm talking about.
I thought you were talking about AOC and cinema.
No. But it's that's the bird flipping reference. They would have to be on board, and in addition to that, 10 Republicans would have to be on board. It's conceivable that in some situation, because of the some of the aspects of the bill that secure voting on the one hand, they may get some Republicans. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it is extremely important that we pass such a bill, because in the next election, all bets are off.
No chance in hell. Sorry, I can only say it so drastically. There is no chance in hell. Who should bring this through? Where are the? I don't have the fantasy to see all the votes for this bill. Sorry, guys.
Well, like I said, there are certain aspects of the bill that are answering Republican demands.
The Republicans are gerrymandering their districts like crazy. You know, even more than before. What I read. You know, do you really think that the Republicans would cut their arms off? No way. No way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer about this whole thing too, but see, even if it does get passed, then it'll get unpassed. The Republicans are very good at going after these things and continually chipping away. And so whatever gains are made, what happens frequently is somebody, we did great, guys. We got it in the bag, and then they walk away, and the Republicans they come right back and tear it all down.
I would so wish that all those points on the list on the Freedom to Vote bill would become reality, but well, as I said, I don't have the fantasy. We got betrayed in so many ways, with even for lesser things, and. They want neither the Democrats nor the Republicans. No way.
But Marcus,
this is devil's work for them.
Marcus, this is a shopping list. You go into the store, the shopping list. They may not have cucumbers, but you're gonna get maybe your tomatoes and some burgers or whatever you need to fix a dinner. So there are elements in here that we cannot forgo, that we cannot afford not to pass, and those are ones that are going to play a major role in the next election and how democratic it will be. So that's all I'll say.
You can't shop with bare shelves. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We have a bunch of politicians that are going to be talking behind closed doors. And we'll see what happens.
That warms my heart.
Yeah.
Well, that's what democracy is about. So whether you like it or not, I mean, I would like to pass the bill just straight on, just like it's written. I would have liked to pass the HR1 as it was written. But I recognize with that there are certain things that need to happen before the next election, regardless, and that is something we have to keep our eyes on.
Then I can guarantee you they will take those things out and come up with a different decision, and it will be so watered down to in the end it would be unrecognizable, you know. And this is, as I said, you know, I really would want all this to happen. You know, each and every point is important. You know, yeah, but guys, what did we see the past years?
No, you know, there's no doubt that that compromise is painful.
Yeah. The good and the worse and the evil. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm cynical. What, you know, because we talked about it a little bit in the green room before the show. You know, that I personally feel abandoned. You know, what progressivism is a complete failure. You know, if the label is shit now. You know, it was ruined. And I don't see anyone, you know. I don't see anyone who is trustworthy, you know, or who is trustworthy, you know, over the point, you know, where it comes that they are in office, you know. Once they get in contact with the establishment, with Washington D.C., you know, everything it is like a switch, you know. Everything turns around 180 degrees, and this makes me desperate and cynical, you know. And this is why I was laughing away the bill, though I know it is important. Amos, don't get me wrong, you know. But as I said, you know, well, it is like it is.
Well, I don't know if we have the votes.
It doesn't bake the cake.
Yeah, but I don't know if we have the votes to pass the bill as is. But in some form or other, the major parts of it needs to happen, even if we have to continue struggling. But yeah, we can't afford to toss this over one or another items in there. So it's definitely important. It's too important to forego this bill.